Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in this lovely world. My name is Brianna.b. I'm a 19-year-old from the Midwest, and you're watching I Love You So Big, Episode 6. Today, my bear and I wanted to talk about some things that have kind of been bothering me and some other people I know in the LGBT community. I'm trying a new spot. This is just on my bed. I wanted to be comfy today and almost have like a sleepover type of video because I thought it would be cute. If you see me looking like this, it's because I have my computer sitting in front of me and I have to make sure that I'm in focus and I'm still filming and everything like that, you know, the good stuff. We're also currently 44 states are having a winter storm, and my state falls into said 44 states. So if you hear like any beeping or anything like that, it's because they're trying to plow our parking lot as much as they can. It's not really working, but they're trying. I also live in a dorm, so if you hear other noises, it's because I live in a dorm and noises happen. I'm also right across the hall from the laundry room, so there's always footsteps and stuff outside my door. Weird cut, I got a phone call, but we're back. If you don't follow my Instagram, you should. It is here. It's pretty cool. It's fun over there. But I often post different Instagram stories and talk about what I'm going to talk about for that week, or what I'm posting this week, or like blah, 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 that kind of thing. So go follow my Instagram and make sure to keep an eye out on my Instagram stories because it's always fun over there. But on my story, today I put a question that said, possibly talking about the LGBT community in today's I Love You So Big episode. I would love to hear your stories if possible and problems that you've seen within the LGBT community. Now, personally, I've seen, especially recently, so many problems within the LGBT community. A lot whenever I came out as non-binary. If you don't know, I am non-binary. I use they, them pronouns. Please steer away from she, her pronouns or she, her, or gender-related terms. It would be absolutely amazing if you would do that. But a lot of things that I've seen, especially because whenever I came out as non-binary, I said that I was non-binary and gay. And there was a lot of people who were like, you can't be non-binary and gay, that doesn't work. I like women and non-binary people, therefore I am gay. Like I don't understand. There's a lot of, I've noticed that there within the gay community and the LGBT community and the WLW community, there's a lot of people who push out something that's not something that they see. So it's hard for them to understand being non-binary and gay, or people that identify as non-binary lesbians. It's really hard for some people to understand, and it's really not. It's just a non-binary person who likes women. It's not that hard. But recently I was watching Jade Fox, I watch a lot of Jade Fox. I watch all of her videos religiously, both on her main channel and her Made You Looks channel. If you don't know who Jade Fox is, I'm going to put her video up in the eye along with down in the description. So make sure you go watch that because she touches on a lot of points that I kind of agree with, specifically whenever she talks about biphobia. And that is something that I wanted to address also. I've been wanting to address biphobia in one of my videos specifically, but I felt like this one would be a good one to do that in. I've noticed that there's a lot of biphobia within the LGBT community, especially in the lesbian and woman-loving women and non-binary loving women community specifically. And I don't quite understand it. A lot of, you know, arguments that some of the people I've talked to who won't date a bi person, a lot of the comments they make, or like say it's a woman, they're like, oh, she's gonna cheat on me with a man, or she's gonna leave me for a man, and blah 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 blah. If you're worried about someone leaving you or cheating on you, just worry about it being a person and not so much being like if it's a man or not, because they still like women. They're still part of the LGBT community just like the rest of us are. they're still there and prevalent and valid, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't understand that. Or people who will specifically not date bi people makes no sense to me. Or pan people or anything like that. Like Jade Fox made a good point where there's a difference between prejudice and preferences. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, because there is a difference between prejudice and preferences. You can have your preferences, but your preferences can be like, oh, I like people with dark hair instead of more than I like blondes. Not so much, oh, I don't date bi people because that's my preference. That's not a thing. That's not a preference. Like that, they're still a person. They're still someone that's in the LGBT community. So it doesn't really sit right with me whatsoever. I'm looking at my phone because I'm looking at some of the responses that I've gotten on my post. Here's a good one. Someone said, I'm going to read their 4-part thing because they put 4 answers in, and it's like one continuous thing. So I'm going to read that because I liked it. They said biphobia. As a bisexual, I see a lot of LGBT members invalidating bisexuals and saying that bi men are just confused gays and bi women are confused straights and vice versa. As a community that should strive for inclusion, I feel the exact opposite of included in the community, and it is very sad and disappointing. Which I know that there are a lot of bi people who feel that way. One of my close friends is bi, and we've talked about it, and she feels like that a lot of the times. And it hurts my heart to hear that some people feel like that, and they feel like they aren't even included in a community that they are completely a part of. They are completely part of the LGBT community because, in case you didn't know what LGBT stands for, the B is literally bi. So they're very much there and very much prominent. Especially, like, I see biphobia on TikTok a lot. Like, if you don't know, I have a pretty prevalent TikTok presence. It's grown more recently than what it has been in past videos, but I see it on TikTok a lot, and it's so frustrating. And I hate that bi people feel the need to, whenever they are first getting into a relationship, they're like, oh, by the way, I'm bi. Like, there was one time I was talking to this girl, will not disclose her name or anything like that, but I was talking to this girl, and she was like, hey, so, like, serious question, and I was like, yeah, like, what's up? And she was like, are you bi? And I was like, no, and, like, she didn't answer me for a minute, so I was like, oh, is this gonna be, like, a problem? Like, what's gonna happen with that? And she was like, oh, well, I am. And I was like, okay, and? Like, yeah? And she was like, oh, well, I'm used to people not wanting to be with me because I'm bi. And I'm like, that's so messed up. I cussed and I realized I can't. But that's so messed up, and it's so heartbreaking, especially to hear people be like, oh yeah, people usually don't get with me because I'm bi. I will never understand that a day in my life on why people have so much biphobia. And then also, in like on the same topic of biphobia, having a lot of internalized biphobia. Like, I'm very secure in the fact that I like non-binary people and women, and I don't have any attraction to men. I used to, don't anymore, just went away. Sexuality is fluid, it happens. But I know that within myself. But there's some people who will say, like, women who will say that they're lesbian and then go and sleep with a man. Or people that are like, who are queer and then they're like, oh, I only sleep with men when I'm bored. But in my eyes, if you're a lesbian or of that sort and you claim to not like men, then you wouldn't even want to get with these men. You wouldn't want to be with them to begin with. Like, that just doesn't make me... It's so confusing to me. Like, the internalized biphobia, like, it's okay. It's okay to be bi. There's nothing wrong with being bi. Nothing. Not a thing. And I understand people who want to be extremely secure in their sexuality, but it's like, even if you're sleeping with that person... And I'm not even talking about, like, I'm not talking about those people who, like, they'll do it when they're drunk or, like, something like that. I'm talking about people who do it completely sober and are completely coherent about what they're doing and things like that, which, can be fine. It's not like the end of the world, but it's also like your internalized biphobia is showing. It's showing. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But I want to move on from that topic. Everyone in the LGBT community knows how terrible it is for being the biphobia in the community is. It's insane. It's so stupid. It makes no sense to me. But moving on from that, I had someone say, when gay males say that other gay males are too gay for using makeup, fake nails, wigs, etc. I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate it so much. Because, like, why are we attaching looks to people's sexualities? I get that a lot. I get a lot of people who are like, which obviously this is a little bit different than what was said, but I get a lot of people who are like, but you dress so feminine to be non-binary, or, which is gender, not sexuality, but people who are like, okay, but like, so like, you're the girl in the relation. We're both females for a reason. There is no boy. Plus, how I dress has nothing to do with it. Or people are like, oh, like, you don't look gay. What does looking gay look like? Please tell me. Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me on what gay is supposed to look like. Because you're looking at it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But obviously I'm not a gay man. So there's not a lot that I can say on this because it's not my experience. It's not something that I personally go through, being a gay man, because I'm not a gay man. But I have seen people go through this, and it's so stupid. Or on the flip side, people who will say that, or try to invalidate gay men because they aren't as flamboyant or, something like that as like your stereotypical gay man. Like, I don't understand. A lot of this video is just me not understanding the LGBT community. Y'all are weird. The next thing I want to talk about is being POC in the LGBT community. Specifically, like, I've talked about this before a little bit. I've touched on this before, but being POC in the LGBT community is just not a fun mixture. Like, not only do I get hate and prejudice from being POC, but also for being in the LGBT community, inside and outside of both communities. It's often that I get a lot of my hate from people who are in the POC community, or like white saviors, or the glorification of POC people, or almost like the fetishization, I don't think I said that right, but you get the point. The fetishization of POC people, especially being LGBT, is a little gross. It is a little gross. I did recently post a TikTok where I talked about how in high school I only liked white women. That was it. I wouldn't date anyone else, and that is typically what you would call a racial preference, which is absolutely disgusting. It is the worst thing in the world, and I'm so happy I don't do it anymore. Racial preferences are so nasty. They're so gross. Like, let's not do that. But the first half of the video, I had said something about only liking white women in high school, and the second half I said, oh, I came into college and added some spice to my life, which that made a couple people mad. But what was funny is that it only made white people mad, because POC people will say that all the time, that we're an added spice kind of sort of thing, or like we're added flavor or something like that, which I can see how it can be frustrating, but it tends to only be a problem with white people, which is weird. Why are y'all mad when the POC people aren't? That doesn't make any sense to me. Make it make sense. But I can understand how it can be frustrating and how it can be, it can be something that's not fun, but being POC and LGBT is something weird on its own. And I am white passing. I personally don't look at myself and see a white woman, and I know that a lot of the world doesn't look at me and see a white woman. Obviously, when I look at myself, I see a POC, non-binary person, but I present to the world as a black woman. And there's people who would be like, oh, you're not black because you're half white. In case you didn't know, being half of a race makes you that race. Therefore, I am black because I am half black. If you're less than half, then like it's called something else. But I am biracial and I am black. Like, but it's always white saviors or POC people who do that. And it just sucks when your biggest hate comes from the communities that you're a part of. It's very frustrating, and I don't even know. I don't script any of this. If this is your first time watching an I Love You So Big episode, I don't script any of this. I just turn my camera on and start rolling and just go with whatever comes to my mind. So I apologize that my thoughts and my words are very all over the place. I just would rather sit down and have like a conversation with you guys than sit down and like read a script, you know, sort of thing. I feel like that's better. Another story that I got says, one time when I told one of my best friends I thought I was bi, she told me that she really didn't think that we could be friends anymore. I gotta get to the rest of it. And took me home and then didn't talk to me for months. Then after like 4 months, she checks back in and goes, hey, you still like girls? So I said yes, and she unadded me. The homophobia is so real, Like, come on now, we're better than that. I thought we were over this. I thought we were done. So like, not only does homophobia and biphobia fall outside or inside the LGBT community, we obviously know that it falls outside. But it sucks because like, I've had friends do that before too, but it's like I still liked women while I was your friend. I just didn't tell you yet, and I'm not a different person. You just now know that I'm not straight. It's the only difference. Like, I didn't change. And it's like, it doesn't sit right with me. Homophobia is so weird. Why can't you just be happy because somebody else is happy? Like, what? Something I like to throw out at people, and it's like, Christians specifically, I think it's something interesting because while not all Christians are like this, there are a lot of Christians who disagree with being queer and the LGBT community because it doesn't fit their religion. Now, I'm not going to get super into this because I just don't have the time for that, but something that people will be like is, or some Christians will be like is, oh, like, God has already chosen my future husband, or blah, 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 whatever. And I like to be like, okay, God chose a man for you, but he chose a woman for me. You know, and then they're like, oh, that's not possible. And I'm like, but you just said that God chooses all of our partners, so that would mean that he would choose mine, and that just so happens to be a woman. They don't like that. They don't like when I say that. Obviously, I'm not religious. It's not really my thing. I grew up religious. I'm not anymore. It's just not something I align myself with or identify with. And I have tons of Christian friends, so all love for them. Love you guys the most. It's just the ones that, one, try to push their religion on you, and two, try to cover up their homophobia with their religion. It's so nasty to me. It's so nasty. Oh, this one. This touches on kind of the toxic masculinity and such that you'll find with masculine women and studs and that kind of thing. This is another thing that Jade Fox has talked about before. If I can find the video, I'll put it up here in the card. If not, I apologize, but Jade Fox has talked about this too. But someone had said to me Before I figured out my sexuality and began dating women, I would get rejected by mask-presenting women or studs, often because I hadn't chosen bi or lesbian or any label at that time. It was a letdown because I was always sure about my feelings for girls, and it was my attraction to men that really took consideration. So biphobia was astounding in the lesbian community. Mask women, y'all worry me. Y'all worry me. Now, not all mask women and or studs act like this, but good golly, the amount of mask women that I've come across who are just they're so angry all the time. Like, okay, listen, I dated this one girl. Won't get into it too much, but she was mostly a mask presenting woman, and great, you know, whatever, fine. But there would be days, you know, where she pulled that little stimmy out, you know. She was a little stem, but if you said that she was a stem, believed her shit. She was like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, but you kinda are, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, I've met so many masked women who just are so angry at the thought of being a STEM or, you know, presenting any kind of feminine, which, like, understandable, completely valid and understandable. Just like, why are you so angry about it? Why are you so angry? I don't understand. Like, I want you to be comfortable, and obviously, like, I'm not gonna, like, sit there and be like, oh, you're a STEM sort of thing, like, shoved in your face. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I don't get it. Or it's like the same woman will be so mad at their girlfriend being like, or their partner being like, hey, like, can I put some makeup on you? And they're like, no, absolutely not. You know, that's how toxic masculinity men act. That's how they act. Why are you acting like that? Why are we like this? Why are we doing this? Why are we like this? I will never understand. And it's often those same women who are biphobic at the same time. Like, please, pick a struggle. Pick one or the other. Choose one. Let's choose one. I would prefer if you had neither, but let's choose one. Why are we gonna have toxic masculinity and be biphobic? Why are we gonna do one? And let's stop covering being not wanting to date bi women as a preference. Can we not do that anymore? Like, just say you're biphobic. Just say it. Just put it out there in the world, you know? It's just, the LGBT community is so weird. Y'all pick and choose so much. You pick and choose so much. It doesn't make any sense. Also, black trans women. Why do y'all not accept them just the same way that you accept other trans women? I don't get it. Also, oh my god, another one. If you're white and masculine, stop saying you're a stud. You are not a stud. You're a masculine woman. You're masculine. Can we stop? You can hear people screaming outside because they're playing in the snow. But my camera died, and I think that's really all I have today. It was just a big long rant. Leave your stories or like anything in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. I have a whole playlist of all of the I Love You So Big episodes if you've missed them. I also have I Love You So Big merch. It is going to be linked down below. It looks like this if you haven't seen it before, and you want to go buy it. I put the prices as cheap as possible because this merch is for you guys. Making a profit off of it is not something I really care about, but I would love to see you guys in it. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Every link that you could possibly need from me is down in the description below. And just remember, I love you so big. Alright, I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye guys.